This is Imran with a series of lectures. Today we will talk about the lecture number 9, and in this lecture we will talk about the anxiety and ego defense mechanisms. So this is the final part of Psychoanalysis by Sigmund Freud, and I hope that you will understand in this lecture. And if you have some questions, if you have some problems, then you can also tell me in the comment box. I will reply you. Moving towards our first slide, that is anxiety. What is anxiety? Anxiety is, according to Freud, anxiety is an emotional stage experienced as a result of felt threat to the self. The threat could be of psychological or emotional. Anxiety arises when ego cannot cope too much of demands of ego and external behavior, or external danger. So, according to Sigmund Freud, anxiety is an emotional state. Anxiety is an emotional state that comes from the external danger, from the external threat to the self. And anxiety could also be a result of demand of id, when the demand of id are not being fulfilled. Demand of ego, external danger is there. If you have some threat, if you have some fear outside your brain, so that would also create a lot of anxiety to you. So in order to protect itself against anxiety and threat, ego uses defense mechanisms. So to protect against this anxiety, this problem, we usually avoid from reality. We usually give ourselves aside from reality, and we use a lot of defense mechanisms, which we will discuss in further slides. Ego defense mechanisms are procedures that are developed at the mind level to protect the ego from external threats. Yes, as I talked earlier on, ego defense system may also distort reality. It distort reality. We are putting ourselves behind the bar in these mechanisms. The ego has a pretty important role to protect you from threatening thoughts in our unconscious. We put the threatening thoughts to the unconscious to protect ourselves. That is the purpose of ego defense mechanisms. It protects us through defense mechanisms. Yes. Number one defense mechanism is repression. Yes. Repression is blocking unpleasant or unacceptable thoughts by pushing them into the unconscious. For example, forgetting painful events. In the process of repression, we actually blocked our thoughts that are unfavorable to us. We block that thoughts, and we put that thoughts into our unconscious. For example, if a person who sexually abused in the childhood, whenever a discussion comes in front of him, a scenario comes in front of him, or if a person who is watching a movie related to sexually abuse, then he will literally change the channel, and he is putting his thoughts into the unconscious. So through the process of repression, he can put his unpleasant, unacceptable thoughts to the unconscious. Number 2 is repression. In repression, this is a movement back to the psychological time when one is faced with stress. When children's needs are not being fulfilled, they cry. So that is their regression, because they want something. But when they grow up and they faced such sort of situation, or some difficulty or some stress, then they used to cry. They used to put themselves to the backstage, which they did in the earlier on. You can see here in the picture that a person is sleeping with his stuffed animal. Why? Because he has some sort of stress problem and he is making himself to the relief. A person, you can look, he's old age, he's young, but he's crying because he couldn't cope with the reality, and he is moving himself backward to his childhood. So that happens in this stage of repression. Here an example, occasionally girls caught while cheating, they start crying in an example of regression. Yes, you can see every time the girl who cheats in the exams, they will start crying. Especially in this territory of Asia, this happens. So this is an example of regression. A person who suffers a mental breakdown assume a fetal position, rocking and crying. Yes, you can see in the picture. Displacement is another defense mechanism, and this is used a lot in the society. Displacement is a way of coping where one focuses impulse on a safe target rather than directing them towards the true object or person causing the distress. In displacement, a person avoids the true object. Let us suppose in an example, a person who experiences abuse by a boss at work, who then comes home and acts with inappropriate hostility towards his family. In the displacement, person couldn't do with the true object. Means, if I am working in an office and my boss abuses me, I couldn't do in front of him. But when I will come back to home, then I will cry on my wife, on my children. So because that is our safe target, we can make hostile them easily. So this happens in the displacement. That is very unfortunate defense mechanism. Next is rationalization. When something happens that we find difficult to accept, then we will make up a logical reason why it has happened. In rationalization, we actually making excuses, coming up with a beneficial result of an undesirable outcome. For example, a man buys an expensive car and then tells people his old car was very unreliable. Means, instead of admitting himself that yes, I made a mistake, I brought an expensive car, but unfortunately he will talk, I purchased this expensive car because my old car was unreliable. He will say like this. Another example, a parent punishes a child and says that it is for the child's own good. Punishing a child is not good actually, but because he is arguing with himself, he is arguing with someone others, that this is for the goodness of the child. That is why I am punishing him. Very unfortunate defense mechanism. Another is denial. Yes, in denial, we avoid from reality. We avoid from the awareness. In this state, a person refusing to acknowledge or accept anxiety-provoking thought. He refuses that. If someone says that you are gaining weight, he says, no, I'm not gaining weight. I will be okay if I will exercise for 4 to 5 days. If someone is smoking, then he will give the logic that no, I occasionally smoke. I'm not a chain smoker. Or if someone says that it is bad for health, then he will say that I'm not occasionally. I'm not a chain smoker. I smoke occasionally. So this is not bad for me. So that happens in denial. Projection. In the process of projection, individuals attributing their own thoughts, feelings and motives to another person. Thoughts most commonly projected onto another are the ones that would cause guilt, such as aggressive and sexual fantasies or thoughts. So in this way, a person projects his own thoughts to someone else's mind. For instance, if a person hates someone, but his superego tells that hatred is unacceptable, then he will start believing that other hates him to satisfy himself. In actual, he is projecting his thoughts, his feelings towards another person to protect his ego, to protect himself. Sublimation. This is one of the positive defense mechanisms. This is similar to displacement, but takes place when we manage to disclose our emotions into a constructive rather than destructive activity. In displacement, we involve in a destructive activity because we are being annoyed to our children, to our home fellows, to our peer groups. But in sublimation, if someone who feels anxiety, depression in the society, then he will come back to the home, he will work with his hobby, he will do that. This might, for example, be artistic. Many great artists and musicians have had unhappy lives and have used the medium of art, of music, to express themselves. Sports is another example of putting our emotions in something constructive. If a person who feels anxiety, depression, or who feels some sort of aggressive behavior, then he will come back to his gym and will exercise. You can see in this cartoon. And then he will start exercising. He is using that energy in a positive way. Or if there is an artist who will start playing guitar or musical instruments to get themselves revived. So sublimation is one of the best and one of the positive ego defense mechanism that actually works and that actually has some sort of positive results. So this was our end of psychoanalysis. I hope you do like it. I will wait for your comments, for your problems. If you have some sort of issue in this lecture or in any point, you could consult me in the comment box. I will answer you. So till the next lecture would be on behaviorism. So till the next lecture, it's goodbye.